name is Julio Gonzalez. So the pad of anguish, you would insert it into the ano or other holes, and it would spring open and shatter the pelvis. It was a very, very painful device.
So, the pair of anguish. That looks kind of painful. I mean, I don't think I'd want my scrotum expanded.
Bill from accounting. I said I'm Bill from accounting, and this thing tells me to say that fines were up to 2,000 gold back in medieval eras, and that translates to about 40 million today, which actually isn't that much for a big company.
Isn't that much for a big company? What are you talking about? $40,000? Or did you say $40 million? Wait, no, that's a lot of money. Why would they be paying that much?
My name is Blake Manchester, and so the Cranium Crusher, they would set your head on a pedestal, and then they would have a cup of sorts connected to a screw and a lever crank thing, and they would twist it until it would crush your skull and fatally wound you, most likely. Quite a cool contraption, if I may say so myself. Eventually, because the eyes kept popping out of the sockets, they would put cups underneath your face that would catch the eyeballs, which is quite amusing, if I may say so myself.
Golly, mister, that sure looks painful. I sure wouldn't want my head crushed. It'd get popped like an egg.
My name is Colt McNash. And I'm here to tell you about hang, drawn, and quartered. So, what they would do is they would pull you up and hang you upside down like this. And then you'd hang upside down and all the blood would rush up to your head. And once it's in your head, you get a little dizzy and you'd almost sadly pass away. And then once you're almost dead, they'd flip you upside down, right back up. And then next part is the much more gruesome part. They would take a knife about this long and slice into your guts. Then they would take all the guts out, burn them in a pile while you had to watch. And then what they would do is they would rip your arms off. And once they ripped your arms off, they'd let you bleed out there and die. And they'd cut your head off, stick it on a pike, and you'd be the next victim of hang, drawing, and quartering.
This guy sure is full of energy. And also, being hung up in a cage and being sliced open. That doesn't sound like a very good time.
I am the Carlton Hookham of Wellington. I'm here to talk about the rack. So they would put you up on a table and put your arms against ropes and pull, sometimes even ripping your arms off. Ouch.
That doesn't sound like a good place to sleep. But maybe if I lay down on it right, it might fix my back.
99999. My name is Henry Wolferschlegelstein-Hausenberger, and I'm going to talk about the armchair of inquiry. And so for the chair of inquiry, you would sit down on a chair with many spikes, and the spikes will be very sharp. And when you sit down, they would put weights on your legs and your ankles, and the ankles would pull you down onto the spikes even further, and it would hurt very badly. And once that happened, they would set a fire under the chair, under the chair, and you would get the 4th degree burns. And if it hurt very much, you'd be going, yay!
The armchair of inquiry. What does inquiry even mean? Does it mean like how you inquire something? Is this meant for knowledge? Why would they give you 4th degree burns just for knowledge? That would hurt.
Hello, my name is Fo Shan. So flaying has history in ancient China, not so much medieval history. But what they would do is they would take a knife or other sharp object and slowly peel off your skin for hours at a time. It was very painful. Many people passed out or even died from the pain.
Gee willikers, mister! That looks really painful. I bet that would hurt. Me personally, I like having skin.
My name is Elizabeth Fulton, and we're going to go over the 3 main types of psychological torture. During psychological torture, they would attack 3 main things: your publicity, your bank account, and your own mental health. For the publicity, they would either put your head in a cage, just like this, and you would walk around the town with your head in said cage. For the bank account torture, they would walk up to you just because they didn't like you and force you to give them many, many, many dollars. For the 3rd main type, which is your own physical and mental health, they would do something called a heretic's fork. When you were blasphemous, and you denied God's existence, they would strap a collar to your neck that had 2 prongs of forks, and one would jab into your breast, and one would jab into your throat, and you would no longer be able to talk for the rest of the week. And then they would take it off, and you would be a madman after that. And that is the 3 main types of psychological torture.
Heretic's fork? But if it's called fork, but I can't eat, doesn't that seem a little counterintuitive? By the way, can I have your number?
So my name is Christian Palmer, and fun fact, most medieval torture methods weren't actually made in the medieval era, and were actually made in the Victorian era to make themselves look better. And the only actual punishments were flogging, hanging and quartering, fines, and psychological torture, and not much like painful contraptions like seen in most media.
What, is this kid 12? He acts like he's a little Albert Einstein. It is a little reassuring to know that most of these weren't actually all that painful.
Bonjour, my name is Nathaniel, and I'm going to talk to you about Je m'appelle femme comme personne ne regarde, otherwise known as the Brazen Bull. And the Brazen Bull, you would take the person and put them inside the Jérôme Femme Sifoir, and which is called the bull itself. The bull itself. And then once you get in there, and it will be Je trouve les personnes agréables attirantes. And that means you will put fire under the bull to hear them Caleb Cox es un salchud, and it would be fire underneath to hear them scream. And that is what the brazen bull is.
I don't think your French is totally correct. I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure those mean other things. The Brazen Bull doesn't sound too much fun anyways.